Welcome to Besties, Books, and Brews,
where we're not afraid to indulge in some steamy stories.
So whether you are naughty or nice or somewhere in between,
grab a glass of your favorite brew and settle in with your favorite besties.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Besties, Books, and Brews. How's everyone doing this week?
Excellent.
Good.
So excited for tonight.
So am I. This book was freaking amazing. So before we get started, let's talk about the brews. What's everyone drinking tonight?
I got my, what's this thing called? White Claw in my insulator.
In your insulator. And I have, once again, my Mike's Hard Lemonade Seltzer in strawberry lemonade. Yeah, strawberry lemonade.
Yummy.
Yum.
Yums.
You guys can guess
Busy.
what I have.
And
what flavor is that one?
Black cherry lime.
and I'm drinking water.
That's our H2O girl, Lori H2O.
One day I will surprise you.
One day.
One day.
All right. So this week we are super excited to review Fourth Wing.
Yes.
By Rebecca Yarros.
Yes.
Right? Yep.
And look at the sprayed eggs. They're so beautiful.
Pretty. It is such a pretty book.
So once again, we have the amazing Alyssa, who is going to break down this book for us because she is the words of wisdom in this group. So Alyssa, take it away.
All right. So I first just want to say this week we're going to do things a little bit differently. So the beginning of this episode, we promise to not give any spoilers. However, just want to note that it is really, really hard to review a fantasy book without giving spoilers. So we're going to do the summary. Each of us will go around and just give our star rating 1 out of 5, spice rating 1 out of 5, and then we're going to play a fun game of pronunciation station where we'll go through and just give some of the characters' names and location names and say how we're going to how we've all been pronouncing it. From there, we'll let you know, okay, at this point, if you don't want spoilers, cut it off. Don't listen anymore. So that way you can get kind of the beginning of our review, and from there you'll be safe. We'll let
y'all
you
get to see how much of a dodo bird I am in this episode.
I am positive you're saying them very similar to us. And when we get there, I'll just say more. None of us listen to this on audio, so we have no freaking clue how to pronounce these things. That's part of the fun of a fantasy book.
Basically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You'll get kind of how I pronounce some of these things in the summary here. So I took a lot of notes for the summary just so I can make sure I'm summarizing it to the best of my ability for everybody else. So let's get into that. The story of Fourth Wing takes place on the continent of Navarre. It's mainly at Basgiath War College. So in this college, people will attend beginning at the age of 20. At that point, the very first day is called conscription day. They will choose a quadrant to join. So there are 4 quadrants: the healer's quadrant, scribe quadrant, infantry, and riders. This story mainly takes place in the writer's quadrant, where you're going to see all of these, I keep wanting to call them children because they're 20, but technically they're adults, where they all go and take part in all these challenges to essentially bond with a dragon. But I'll get there. So more specifically, the story centers around our female main character, Violet Sorrengail. She's been trained to be a scribe and join the scribe quadrant her entire life. So her thing is books. She loves to read. Hey, she's us.
She's us. Essentially.
Right? Yep. So 6 months prior to when this story starts, her mom tells her, nope, you're not going to be a scribe. You're joining the writer's quadrant. So everybody else who joins the writer's quadrant has been training for this their entire lives because they need to be strong physically to get through all of these challenges. Her mom is the general of Navarre, or is she might be like a general of a certain... I couldn't really get a hold on that. If she was like the general of the whole army of Navarre or just Basgiath, I couldn't.
Yeah, anyway, I didn't understand that part either.
She's high up there.
Yeah.
She's high up there. So she's telling her she has to join. Now, for everybody else, this might not be a big deal, but Violet has a chronic illness where she her joints and bones, ligaments, everything is weaker than the normal person. And I don't know if you guys read the author's acknowledgement in the end, but it seems like she actually has the same chronic illness, which I absolutely love when a writer writes from personal experience and knowledge of it. You can just tell how authentic the story is, and you could get that from Violet. So I thought that was just really neat when I was reading that about the author. So unfortunately for Violet, this makes the writer's quadrant a really, really dangerous place for her because a lot of the activities are very physical and she can get hurt very easily. However, she doesn't let this stop there. As we said, she was training to be in the scribe quadrant. She is super smart. So where everybody else is using their brawn to get through challenges, she is using her brain to get through them. And it honestly, it's so cool because she's just so strong mentally. It's amazing. She has a lot of people who dislike her because of her mother. Her mom was the cause of the deaths of a lot of the children's parents that attend Basgiath because their parents were a part of the Tyrandor rebellion. And the kids carry this rebellion relic. They are known as the Marked Ones. So they're kind of forced into this writer's quadrant, whereas most people or everybody else gets to choose if they want to be there because it's the quadrant with the highest probability for death. The writer's quadrant consists of a series of challenges, which at the end will eventually lead to the possibility of a dragon bonding with the writers. They start on conscription day with the parapet, which is a narrow, very slick bridge, which is 200 feet above the ground. They have to get across this bridge to even get to the writer's quadrant. And apparently 15% of students that try to even get across the parapet will die from there. So that is to just the beginning of the challenges, and they already lose 15% from there. After that, they have things like hand-to-hand combat challenges between other riders. They have something called the Gauntlet, which is basically a deathly obstacle course, which goes up the side of a cliff. They have, 2 weeks to train for that before they get to do it. Once they pass the gauntlet, they go into what's called the presentation, where they're essentially flaunting themselves in front of the dragons, and the dragons can be like, "Oh no, I like you, I don't like you," and
I'm gonna kill you. Right.
And then from there, after the presentation, the dragons who have chosen to bond with humans can then choose their rider in the threshing. So I think there was only like 100 and something dragons. What did it end up being? I think it was 101 that chose that year and said they wanted to bond. And there were 160 something like in the class, which means that not all of the first year students will get to bond with a dragon. And again, this adds a deathly element to the story. So, the main, I'd say, trope in this story is enemies to lovers, and the tension is quite high. Yeah, I think that about sums it up, because if I go any further with the summary, we're gonna ruin it.
We will.
Yeah.
So let's do our ratings.
Yeah.
Let's do stars 1 out of 5 and spice 1 out of 5. Let's just give that rating. Don't go any further into it, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
So my rating for the book is a 5, and spice, I gave it a 4.9.
What?
Love it. All right. Okay. So I give the book a 5, and I give the spice a 5 as well. 5 across the board.
I gave the book a 5, and the spice is 4.5.
Okay. I gave the book a 5, and I gave the spice a 2. not because the spice was bad. I'm just rating it specifically on how much there was in the book.
Well,
I rated on how good the spice was.
Okay. That's why I gave it a 4.9, because
that's why I did 4.5.
Okay, so the spice was fucking excellent. I'm giving it a 2 based on how much there was. If I'm rating on how the spice was, it's a 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Everything
is 5.
Yeah. So if in your logic, I give it a 2. If with how much there was. But as far as the actual deed, I gave it a 4.9. Alyssa, Where's the spice?
I have it tabbed in my book. It was on page 373. There were 498 total pages in this book, so it was pretty far in. There were 2 of them, and the second one was started on page 416, but they were both excellent.
Can I also say, like, this is how you do a slow burn.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can feel the tension between the both of them, and like, even when they would just kiss, you're like, oh, thank God, finally.
Yeah.
And then when they had sex, you're like, oh, yes. Like, it was just compared to our last book where it was like a slow burn with nothing to show for it.
Yeah.
So this is how you do a slow burn.
Hell yeah.
Absolutely.
I totally agree. Everything about it.
Yeah. And needless to say, everyone knows how I love sex in a book. I can honestly say that if there wasn't any spiciness in this book, I still would have loved it. Like,
agreed.
It was that great of a book.
It really was.
Hell yeah. Agreed.
Yep.
All right. We'll get more into that for sure after we cross that spoiler threshold. So from here, we're going to play a fun game of how do we pronounce these names? Because again, we did not listen to this on audio, so none of us know how the hell to pronounce these names. And with fantasy, sometimes the authors will give like a pronunciation guide at the end, and there was not one in this one. So it's kind of just up to interpretation. All right, starting with the first one. I pronounce this one as Basgiath.
I pronounce it as Basgiath.
I said Basgiath as well.
I say Basgiath.
Okay.
I think it's the Hispanic in us. That's what it is.
I think that's what
Yours sounds like sexier, but I will say, like, when I first saw this word in the book, I was like, ooh, I freaking like that name for a war college. Like, I was like into it right away.
Yeah.
All right. The next one. This is the name of their continent, Navarre.
That's what I called it, Navarre.
I said Navarre as well.
I said Navarre.
Why don't you tell us what you really said the first one was?
The first one was just school. I could not pronounce it.
I agree. Listen.
So I practiced today what I would call it. Yeah.
Okay. So the next one, this was, I think it was like the capital of Tirandor. I called this one Aratia.
I said Ardea.
That's the Spanish in you. I said Aratia as well.
I said Aratia.
Okay, so we're divided again. Mm-hmm. All right, this one is like this was the outpost that was outside of the wards. I called this one Eithbine.
Wait, what?
Eithbine?
I called it Athbin.
Okay.
Wait.
I said Athbine.
I don't even know what the fuck you're talking about.
You remember the outpost they went to towards the end?
Yeah, that I called it an outpost.
Yeah, there you go.
So if I had to say what it was, I'd say Athbine.
Okay. All right. So this next one is Zayden's dragon. This is Scale. Scale?
I said Scale.
Okay.
I said Scale. I was like, okay, they spelled it in a cooler way. It was either that or dragon.
Mine is not at all close to how it's spelled. I said Seigel.
Oh, I like that.
I can see that too.
I don't.
Yeah. I like that. All right, this next one is one of my favorite characters.
The main male lead.
Yes.
Zayden Riorson.
That's what I said. Zayden Riorson.
I said Zayden Ryerson.
So I said Zayden Rearson because I know someone named Reardon with a D instead of the S. So that was my reasoning.
Yeah, I said
okay.
I took it as Dior, so I said Riorson. So yeah, that was my reason.
I love how like everybody like specific. It's kind of like when you're in school and you were like studying for a test and you had like certain ways of remembering things.
Mhm.
It's kind of like interesting to see how everybody thinks of things in their own heads. All right, this next one is a dragon, and I will not say whose. Andarna.
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 Same. Andarna.
Okay. This last one is another dragon. I'm not going to say whose. Cairn.
Tairn.
Tairn.
Tairn. Same.
Or Big T.
You should have put
There
his
you go.
whole name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting.
I like Big T.
I like Big T also.
That's what I named him, Big T.
That's funny. That's funny. Did you guys have any other like fun names? Because those are the like ones that stuck out to me the most as like weird names. I think there was one other, but it wasn't like hugely mentioned. It was one of the places outside of the wards, and it was called like Poromiel.
Yeah.
There were so many words.
Yeah.
There are.
Yeah.
Especially in a fantasy book. Yeah. I was. Yeah.
Especially the establishing one. Yeah.
Right, exactly. I will say that the world building was so good, but I'm like, I know what we talked about this in the beginning. Like when I start a fantasy book, I am constantly just like flipping back and forth to the map. Yep. Anytime a name is mentioned and they're like,
oh, it's like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Because look at this beautiful map. Oh, it's so beautiful. So there's that so many, yeah.
And Basgiath.
Yeah.
Or Basgiath.
Basgiath. Yes.
Yes. It's beautiful.
It really is.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime they were walking around the school and she's like, oh, we went through this door in the tundra and what, I'm like, okay, where is it on the map? I need to know like which way they're going on the map, which is why it takes me longer to read fantasy, because like I have to know where everything is.
Mm-hmm. I'm the same way.
Yes. So at this point, if you do not want spoilers, we're just letting you know we're gonna get into the spoilers here. Yep. So you may just want to like head out until after you've read it.
Mm-hmm. Once again, disclaimer: spoilers. Spoilers. Mm-hmm. Proceed with caution.
Have plenty of time to shut it off.
Yes. All right. So who wants to go first for their favorite quotes and scenes?
Line up.
All right. So I will start off with my favorite quotes because I have 4. My first spicy-ish one is when Violet is watching Xaden and Garrick spar, and she says, holy fucking hot. And I'm like, I'm using that from now on. Whenever, you see something real hot. And then this one is one of my favorites. Violet is sparring with Xaden. She's talking to herself in her head. So these are her thoughts. You are not attracted to toxic men, I remind myself. And yet, here I am, getting all attracted. I have been since the first second I saw him, and I feel like being honest. I mean, relatable.
Yeah. Big time relatable.
My next one was from Xaden, where he says to her, fuck, that stubborn, feisty look always makes me want to kiss you. Thought that was so hot.
Love him.
Mm-hmm.
And then my next one is not a spicy one, but I wanted to discuss it with you guys. Violet is talking to Liam, and she's talking about how she wanted to be a scribe when she grew up. And she says, what did you want to be when you grew up? And Liam said, alive. And I thought, I know that like
my heart.
I know.
Man, you went right for the kill, literally.
But the reason I really liked it while I was reading it is because I think, I kind of applied it to just like our life in general too, where we just get so caught up in what you do for a living and what you do spending your time, and are you making more money and are you growing, right? When really we should, be thankful to be alive and having fun and enjoying 100%. The days we have here, So while I was reading it in the moment, it hit me.
Yeah, it was deep.
Yeah. That's what she said.
I cannot pick a single favorite scene because I love it all.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved every spicy scene. It was phenomenal. Yep. Phenomenal.
Yes.
Yeah.
5 out of 5.
I agree.
I was telling Nikki the furniture breaking in this book is what we were all expecting and
yes, it's true.
Like, this is what was supposed to happen. Like, everything should have been broken. The whole RV should have just not been even able to go anywhere.
Yeah.
Yes.
That furniture breaking, like, oh, the passion between them was
yes,
top notch.
Yes.
Sarah, I want to build on that scene that you were talking about where she was watching them spar and said holy fucking hot on the next page of it. This whole time I've been looking for that page. I was like, I know it was 65. I couldn't remember if it was 265 or 365. But Liam says, stop objectifying our wing leader. Rhiannon says, is that what we're doing? And Violet says, yeah, I think that's what we're doing. She's like, we could just be watching for technique.
So, the scene where she was sparring with Xaden, the first time when he was trying to teach her where she should put the dagger, and he goes, a rib shot would work just fine. Then he guides our hands around his back, making himself vulnerable. Kidneys are a good fit from this angle too. And then in her head, she says, I swallowed, refusing to think of other things that are a good fit at this angle. I felt that. I was like, yes, like
absolutely,
please.
yes.
Hold on. The next quote was actually from her dragon. So it was from
Big T.
Yeah. It was from Big T. And it was when he got the saddle for the first time. And he goes, they're accommodations for me. I've seen your memories. I'm not about to have you sticking daggers in my leg to climb up.
That was so funny.
I
have that one too.
Okay. So it was when they were getting busy. And what do you call it? So I'm just gonna say exactly what it says. So
yes,
kids, cover your ears. So I suck in a sharp breath and throw my head back at the sheer pleasure of his tongue, licking and swirling around my clit. Oh gods, which one are you calling out for? He asked against my flesh. Because it's just you and me in this room, Vi, and I don't share.
Love it. I
yes,
love it.
That was spicy.
Woo, those spice scenes, I'm telling you.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
And then there was it? Yep, this one. This one's a bit long, but I can't. So, she can't die, and not just because there's a chance I won't survive. She can't die because I know I can't live without her, even if I do. Somewhere between the shock of our attraction at the top of the turret, realizing she risked her own life by giving up a boot for someone else on the parapet, that first day to throwing those daggers at my head under the oak tree, I wavered. I should have realized the danger of getting too close the first time I put her on her back and showed her how easily she could kill me on the mat, a vulnerability I allowed no one else. But I brushed it off as an undeniable attraction to a uniquely beautiful woman. When I watched her conquer the gauntlet, then defend Ardana at the threshing, I stumbled, stunned by both her cunning and her sense of honor. When I burst into her room and found Orin's treacherous hand at her throat, the rage that made it so easy to kill all 6 of them without batting an eye should have told me I was headed for a cliff. And when she smiled at me after mastering her shield in mere minutes, her face lighting up as the snow fell around us, I fucking fell. We hadn't even kissed, and I fell.
Oh, I love it.
Xaden has such a way with
he really does
internal and external words.
He really does.
He really. I just want to give a piggyback on the Big T quotes when they first bonded, and he was like, the first thing was after I think it was her hand that was bleeding. He goes, "You're bleeding. Stop it." And then I think where was it? She fell, and he was like, "You're embarrassing us."
Yeah.
Quite frankly, I always love their back and forths. Like their back and forths were hysterical.
It was amazing. It was. Okay, let's see. So I have this one. You're freakishly calm for someone who just heard she's about to be hunted. It's a typical Wednesday for me, I shrug, ignoring the way his gaze heats my skin because I mean, duh. And honestly, being hunted by 41 people is a lot less intimidating than constantly watching dark corners for you. But can we talk about how that was so freaking cool? I mean, we're going to talk about it later, but I loved it. Like, with the whole shadow thing, I was like, I wonder can he do other things with those shadows?
Yes.
Speaking of which, this is totally unrelated to this book, but in the bonds that tie, one of the characters has like a shadow manipulation, and he does use it in sex. It's so hot. It's something to keep in mind to read.
I know, right? Let's hope for book 2. and more Xaden chapters. That last chapter.
Yes, please.
I know.
Yes.
We definitely need. I heard that was like one of the complaints with the audiobook was that like we only got his perspective from the one chapter, and people were like hoping for more of the male perspective in that. I can see that because like I love when in an audiobook hearing the guy narrate as well. I'm hoping like in book 2, because the relationship is more fleshed out in general, that we'll get like more spice and just more of them together in general. Sorry, Nikki.
Okay, and then this one where he goes, damn it, touching you was a bad idea. The worst, I agree. But my tongue skims my lower lip. He groans and my core melts at the sound. Can we get to the sex scene?
I didn't even give my quotes.
Okay, yeah, go.
I messed up Big T's line, by the way. He said, "You're making us look bad. Stop it." All right. So I hated Lilith Sorrengail. Violet's mom fucking hated her. However, she did have one quote in the beginning, which I felt like was really good shadowing. And I was like, okay, this is like showing how much she in her weird way loves Violet. You know when Mira was like fighting with her and trying to get her to not make her go into the writer's quadrant, and her mom said, Mira, Violet deals with more pain before lunch than you would do in an entire week. If any of my children is capable of surviving the writer's quadrant, it's her.
Yep, loved it.
I was like, all right, okay. And then she turned out to be a bitch the rest of the book. Yeah. Yeah. The other one is another Xaden quote. I know we love our Xaden quotes.
We really do.
That's our new. I think we're gonna have to add him to the BBB's list of
absolutely
boyfriends.
Yeah. We
might have to take Leon out and kind of put him in there. Since I mean we have Darius, so you know.
So, Violet was on the whole thing about him initially wanting to kill her, right? And they were having the discussion about it. And she said, when exactly did you decide not to ruin me? He said, maybe it was when I saw Oren holding a knife to your throat, he says. Or maybe it was when I realized the bruises on your neck were fingerprints and wanted to kill them all over again just so I could do it slowly. Maybe it was the first time I recklessly kissed you, or when I realized I'm fucked because I can't stop thinking about doing more than just kissing you. My breath catches at his admission, but he just sighs, lets his head fall back against the wall. And then in his mind, he said, does it even matter when, as long as it changed between us?
Yeah.
I have that tabbed as well.
Yeah.
It was a good turning point. Yeah.
The
angst.
Yes. Oh my God. And to know that he like wanted her from the beginning.
Yeah.
Love that. This was a really good quote between Rhiannon and Violet, and they were talking about Dane, fucking Dane, which I absolutely loved how Violet like knew her own mind, her own heart regarding him, and this quote really solidified that, and I fucking loved it. So Rhiannon said to her, now tell me, what the fuck is going on between you and Dane? I've seen less tension on a crossbow, and I don't mean the good kind. And Violet said, I needed to change in order to survive. He wouldn't let me. Dane.
Can't fucking stand his ass. Fuck him.
Yeah, and I can't choose a favorite spicy scene. I know there were only 2 of them, but they were both so good.
They really were.
Yeah.
They both win.
Even the kiss.
Yeah, like their
God,
kisses. Oh my God. Like even that was spicy, and it was just kissing.
Yeah. The way she describes him, just like so tall, muscular. I agree. I would climb him like a tree too.
Yep.
Can you imagine like having all these sexual feelings, and you're like looking at this hot ass guy, and you just can't fucking do shit because he's like, no, it's not you. we're not gonna do this because you're gonna regret it. Like I would have been like, I don't give a fuck if I regret it today, tomorrow, or for the rest of my life.
Yep.
We need to get it popping right now. Like right now.
Yeah.
On the
Agreed.
flip side of that, can you imagine having to like feel the like sexual desires of your dragon? No, thank
Yeah, that's
you.
so awkward. Because if you can feel their desires, then chances
can
are they
feel
probably feel
yours.
yours.
They definitely
Yes.
can, because Taryn made several comments to her about like, you know, when she was just thinking the thoughts of Zayden, he's like, oh, your heart increases every time you talk
Yep.
about or you think
Yeah.
about him. So like they definitely know what's going on.
So that's usually a very awkward conversation, like the morning after. Like, how would you even like? Yeah, we're just gonna not talk about this. We're just gonna pretend
let's
it
just
never
ride. Let's
Yeah.
ride.
Exactly.
At first, I thought she was gonna like get the blue dragon, whatever the fuck his name was. Doesn't even matter now. But the like the biggest blue dragon. And then as soon as they started talking about Taryn, I was like, nope, that's her dragon. And then I also thought that Andarna, I thought she was the black dragon. Like she was just gonna all of a sudden just like combust into this huge ass fucking dragon. And then I was like, oh, she's a little golden baby. How cute is that?
I love her.
It's funny because I knew that Taryn was going to be her dragon when they were in class.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, oh, this dragon hasn't shown up in however many years.
Yep. I was like, that's going to be her dragon.
I was like, that's hers. And two, with Andarna, I assumed that she was a baby to begin with because it reminded me of like in Harry Potter, the unicorns, the babies are golden.
Oh,
that is true.
And so
I don't remember that.
Yeah. And it was also in the video game, which is why like they've stressed it a lot in the video game because you get to raise them. Anyway, we're not talking about Harry Potter. So I had that in my head. So when they said that it was a golden dragon and the fact that it never pairs with anybody, I was like, sounds like a baby. And not for nothing, I envisioned her to be like a golden toothless from How to Train Your Dragon.
Yes. In my mind, she was so adorable. I was like, yes. She's so cute.
Yep.
Oh my
I
God.
picture her like toothless too, yeah.
When they were talking about killing her when they first went through the presentation, I'm like, you guys, I swear, if somebody tries, and then during threshing too, oh my God, I'm like, if anybody touches this dragon, I'm going to throw this book across the room.
I know. I love her power too. That she had.
Yeah.
Oh, she was so cute. I want to go
dragon.
Her.
I mean, I'm dying to know what she is in the second book because Zayden's thoughts was like, oh, she's huge now, but she has no powers. So I'm like, okay, well, what happened to her?
She's probably a teenager. I'm wondering what kind of dragon she is as well.
Yeah. But like, I hope she keeps her sense of like, I know she's not going to because she's not like a child anymore, but I hope she keeps that like innocence.
Innocence, yeah.
All right. So we're going to do a little bit of a new edition that is specific to this book. And we're going to determine what quadrant we think we'd all be in. So are you a rider? Are you a scribe? Are you a healer? Are you an infantry?
I would be a scribe. I have no muscles. I can't fight. Like, I would be useless in everything else but books.
I think I would be a writer.
I think you would too. I have to agree with that. I see you like punching some bitch in the face that like
oh yeah. And take pleasure in it.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
I think I would also be a scribe. Like in my heart, I want to be a writer, but two things. One, I don't even think I'd make it past the parapet because my balance is shit. And like two, that I can't even do roller coasters without my stomach like feeling like I'm gonna vomit. Like I can't imagine when they're talking about where he's like Taryn is like doing these dives. I'm like, no, I'd be throwing up all over the place. And I love books, so scribe.
I wish I could be a writer, and I feel like I would be a scribe. However, I would be a healer.
I think you would be a healer too.
Yes.
I could see you being a healer.
I could see that.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
I would be between a rider and infantry. That would be me. I'm the fucking the bronze of the group.
Yes.
More a writer though. That's what I would want to be.
Yeah, I think you would too, because I think you would bond easily, like with a super cool dragon.
Mm-hmm.
This is gonna sound like a stupid question, but what does the infantry quadrant do? They didn't really explain that one.
Weapons.
They're like,
right?
yeah, they're
I
the
assume
weapons. They're like
weapons,
the ground fighters. So
Mhm.
basically like our military.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yep, that was just me not having any knowledge of military lingo.
Okay. And now, are we ready for our fuck, marry, kill?
Hell yeah.
Yes.
We have Violet, Xaden, and Dane. I think I know who we're all killing.
Dane, you're the first one out. We don't even want to talk about you. Move along.
Dane
Killing
is
Dane.
dead. Yes.
He's dead. Mm-hmm.
All right, Violet and Xaden. Who we fucking?
Violet.
Yep.
All right,
same.
well,
Yeah.
wait, okay. Yeah. Fucking Violet.
Yep.
I'm
And
marrying Xaden.
Xaden.
Yeah.
Yes.
Be mine forever.
Yep.
Easiest fuck, marry, kill.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
Yep.
if we had to do a friend zone, like I can't even imagine having to do that one because I don't even want to be friends with Dane.
No.
Yeah, he's a
Absolutely
shit
not.
friend.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fuck him. Fuck Dane. Damn
Yeah.
it.
While we're on the subject of Dane, I did not like him from the moment he was introduced. He rubbed me the wrong way because he went up to Violet in the courtyard right away and was like, "What are you doing here?" And he
Mhm.
gave that like air of superiority and that stupid, I know sometimes protectiveness is hot. This was not.
No.
It was like right away. I know I had Sarah. I think the weekend after we started reading this, I met up with Sarah. We were like doing some shopping. I'm like, Dane is rubbing me the wrong way. I was like, something about him. And she was like, yeah, like I kind of still like him. I'm like, all right, well, like to each their own, but I can't stand him.
I didn't like
the
him either.
physical description of
Mhm.
Dane.
Yeah.
Other than that, no, yeah, I didn't like anything about him. It was like he was too pushy. He was trying to
Mhm.
make her do what he wanted to do. He didn't let her be who she wanted to be, and he was just like babying her too much. No, not bro.
And he wouldn't respect what she wanted
yeah,
either.
at all.
Like
at all.
she's like, no, I think I can do this. No, you can't. You're too
Right,
weak. And it's
right.
like, oh, fuck you too.
like fuck
Yeah.
you said. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And the constant him trying to get her to join the scribe quadrant every
Mhm.
fucking time he was brought up in the book. I'm like, bro, she has said so many times now, I'm not going, and he still kept bringing
Yep.
it up. It was getting so
I want
annoying.
to pose this question. It was just something that I kept thinking about. Do you think maybe he was trying to get her to become a scribe because he knows what was going to happen to the writers?
I don't
Could
think
be.
because he didn't know what was going to happen until he touched her face. So he didn't
Yeah.
know that they were going to Athbine or whatever until he touched her face at that one point. So I think prior to that, it was just him doing his like protective bullshit.
I don't
After
know.
that,
I kind
maybe.
of had a feeling like maybe him and her mom were like involved in something and he knew something. And he was just like, because maybe he does care for Violet, he was like, no, I need you to become a scribe. I need you to get out of the writer quadrant.
So
I think so too.
Here's what I think. The first time he touched her face, and what do you call it? And it's like I imagine that it showed the vision of the secret that she was keeping of Xaden, where he was going to the place. And then he told the mom, because he's all about the rules. This fucking coward hid behind his rules. And then I think she took it to the next step. And obviously he was involved because he can, read minds or something.
Yeah.
So he knew what was going to happen, which is why when he said, I'm going to miss you, like he knew what was going to happen at that moment. But I don't think he's always known. But then again, he also stated many times that he has a very high clearance.
Mm-hmm.
And he knows a lot of stuff. So it's possible that he may have known about the, what are they called?
The venom and the
Yes, the venom.
Oh, I
and
think
the
he
wyvern.
definitely knew about all of that. He
Yeah, the
definitely
venom
knew about that.
The venom and the wyvern.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a two thing. Like I don't think he wanted to, I don't know. I feel like he knew where Xaden was going, and he was like, bye. And then
But that's what I'm saying. Like, he knew he was gonna go and do whatever he was gonna do. But I felt like he was trying to push her out of the rider quadrant so that to protect her, because he knew eventually.
But I don't see that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he knew that far before.
I think he had an idea of it.
I agree with Lori.
Because I feel like he only knew about Xaden because of her memeries. So that's why I'm like, anything before that, I just think he just didn't like him or didn't trust him because of the fact that he was, a child of a traitor.
Mm-hmm.
So that's.
I can't wait for the second book to see what happens there. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I hope he dies.
Oh, me too. I hope they fucking torture his ass.
Listen, Rebecca Yarros has no problem killing people.
At all.
Listen, you killed people who actually should not have died. What was the point of Liam dying? Like, what was the point?
That gutted me,
broke me
so much.
Oh my
God. I was straight up
crying. I cried.
I couldn't believe it. Like, first of all, the first time that I thought he was gonna die, I was ready to throw the fucking book. When that bastard fucking stabbed him or whatever, and he started free falling, and I was just like, this cannot be happening. Like, this cannot be happening. I love him. Like, no. So when she saved him, I'm like, okay, cool, that's it. Like, he's good. I should have fucking known better. I should have known better and prepared myself. Because when he died, and then the way that he was trying to get to his dragon, that's what really killed me. Because it's like, I'm dying, but I need my dragon. Like, take me to. I was just like, no, please don't die. No,
I bawled. I cried.
Me too.
Yeah, that was.
I was like reading it while sitting down, so I was kind of like bent over. I had to stop crying because like the tears were covering my eye. I couldn't even see the page. I'm like, I gotta stop for a minute.
That was rough. It was.
No, because I was gonna say that not that I cried, but I also felt really bad for the girl who died in the gauntlet.
Yes. That was 100%. Awful. And she was so excited about the gauntlet too. That's what made it even worse. I can't remember her freaking name.
And the Ariel?
Yeah, something like that.
And even the guy at the parapet. Parapet. That he was like, as soon as he said, like, he grabbed the ring and he was like, oh, I made I was like, he's gone.
Yeah.
He's gone.
I said the same thing. But it still hurt. I was like, damn, man.
Absolutely.
Like, you're kind of starting this early.
Right. I was like, oh, man, if this is how this is going, this is going to be a fucking whirlwind.
Yeah. It was him right away, and then fucking Jack, like, threw the other guy over the side. Yeah. I'm like, okay, this author has no problem killing people.
At all. No
and mercy. Can we celebrate once Jack was finally gone?
Yes. Jesus. Yes.
Toodaloo.
Fucking douchebag.
Although I would not be surprised if somehow he survived.
I was thinking that because like she said she saw him sliding down, but then never like confirmed the death.
Right.
Exactly. I know enough fantasy to know that if you think they're dead, they're not really dead.
Yeah. Watch him become like a Venom or something.
Right?
Yes, that's exactly what I thought. That's exactly what I thought, and that's how he's gonna survive.
Fucking A.
Yeah, it's so true. If you don't see that person die or like have a confirmed death, there's a good possibility. On top of that, when you have a fantasy world that is literally not based at all in actual life, there is always the possibility that for all we know, Liam could be brought back somehow. But like, it's just in a fantasy world, it's just always a possibility.
Right.
Exactly.
You just don't know.
While
we're on the subject of fantasy, sorry, Lori, what were you saying?
No, I was gonna say, speaking about people who we thought were dead,
right?
Can we talk about Brennan?
Yes, that was the best.
Let me tell
my mouth dropped open. I was
literally like, I had to read that page at least like 5 times. I was like, I did not just read that. I did not just read that. I was like, Brennan is alive. I was like, this is gonna be some shit. This is gonna be some shit.
I told you guys I read ahead, so like I was like in the beginning of the book, and I'm so freaking weird. I don't know what my problem is, but like I will read the end of a book very close to when I just started it. So like I already knew about Brennan like in the beginning because I had read the end where I saw that he was introduced.
I don't know how you do that.
I don't know.
I do it most of the time, but for whatever reason, I didn't do it with this book. I was too enthralled in the whole story, and I was just like, I kept going. And I tell you, when I got to that last page, my mouth hit the floor, and I read that like 5 different times. But then again, my ADHD was acting up throughout the whole book, and there were several times where I had to reread certain things because I was like, wait, I'm not getting it. I'm not understanding. Let me reread that one more time. But yeah, that's I is it November yet? Because I need that second book.
We all pre-ordered it already.
Yep.
Yeah.
I really do hope it has the sprayed edges.
I mean, it was kind of cool that the dragons could talk to the griffins, right?
I love
that.
Mm-hmm.
So
that was so
I mean,
cool.
it makes you wonder, like, without the human involvement, like, what would their world look like? Because at some point they all got along, and it's not what we thought, that like the griffins are attacking them. We know that the venom is the true bad force. So like, why do we need these? Well, I mean, I know why they need the words. They don't want the venom to come in there, but like, just imagine if they had unified against the bad, then they could be in a very different spot.
That is true.
Unrelated, but another question that Sarah came up with. This one's kind of cool. What signet did you guys think was the coolest one? Which one would you want?
I like Violet's. I would like that whole lightning thing.
Zayden. I like Zayden.
I like Zayden's as well because he's literally everywhere. He can see everything, hear everything because shadows are everywhere. So he's literally everywhere. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, I like Zayden's, but I'm not gonna lie, I like Dane's. I'm like, I feel like that's kind of useful.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Imagine just going up to somebody like, oh, that's okay.
Yeah,
fuck you too.
Exactly.
Yeah. I like his, but I think the limitation of having to touch somebody's face for it would suck. It's like,
because not a lot of people want to be touched, especially on their face. Like, I'm the type of person, I don't like being touched on my face unless you know, like, just anyone just coming up and touching my face, like, no, don't do it.
No. This is why I would just smack the shit out of them. Just walk up to them and be like, boom.
And then you can see their memories.
Right.
That's one way to do it.
Oh, I'm sorry. You got some mustard right there. Here, let me get that.
I like Mira's too. Hers was like that she can keep the wards up, build the wards. Yeah. I thought that was awesome. And then I thought the professor who can see what happens. I mean, I wouldn't want that, but I thought that was really cool. I would kind of probably want a healer's one, being a healer. Yeah. Or to put up the wards to protect people.
Right.
Yeah,
so
well, you could be
more
a
the offensive.
Yeah.
You're more the offensive side.
Who was it? Though, like they see an object and make it disappear and can grab it in their hand.
It was Rhiannon.
Yeah. Okay. So hers was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hers was pretty awesome.
Their mission was so fun to like seal their secrets together.
To do what together? Oh, steal the map? Is that what you said?
Yeah, and they had to use all the like advantage of you know, plotting everything out with what they could do. It was so cool.
Yeah, that was awesome. And it definitely shows like what a strategist she is to be able to like utilize everybody's power. I feel like she would make a good wing leader, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely.
But do I think they're gonna go back to Basgiath after what happened? I don't know that they can.
I don't think they are.
So.
I don't think they are. And
can I just say with Xanon's shadow, the reason why I love it is he
Go ahead.
was like a fucking lasso at the end when he was trying to bring the wyvern down. He like wrapped it around the neck and like brought it right into his sword. I'm like, that's cool. That was like a new level to the shadows that hadn't been explored prior to that.
Heck yeah.
Violet's first of all, her signet was awesome. And just her overall intelligence was like, I love a smart character.
I did too. Yep.
I love that she can bring the scribe to the writers. Like, so, you know, everything that she knew about books, she was bringing it into this realm of like physical fighting. So it was like, not only was she's going to fuck you up mentally, she was going to fuck you up physically too. But she started getting strong and lifting weights and fighting and all of that stuff. So
yeah,
I love that about her.
I love the fact that she can stand on her own 2 feet.
Yes,
like,
she didn't let anything she didn't let anything or anybody stop her. Yeah, chronic illness or not.
Yep. No, I was gonna say nothing irks me more than a main female character who just can't do anything on her own.
Yeah. I love a strong female lead.
Yeah. That honestly, without them now, like you can guarantee I'm not gonna like the book.
Yeah. DNF.
Yeah, exactly.
It definitely helped that she had the Book of Brennan and she had like the tips from Mira. I think all of that combined and being able to like specifically how Brennan showed her or told her where she could see who she was going to be challenging. So she was able to like specifically gear towards that person. So that was really cool. And then Mira's advice right in the beginning where she was like, "Oh, go talk to Dane." And then she started talking about Zayden. I'm like, "Oh, she's gonna fuck Zayden."
Oh, big time.
Right away when she was like, "Stay away from Zayden." I'm like, that's the
one.
interest.
That's the one.
Exactly.
And as I told Lori and I told Sarah, this kind of reminded me of like Hunger Games and Divergent. Like if they had a child and they had dragons, that's what it was.
Yep.
So like Dane was, I forget what's his name from the Hunger Games, because he fucking pissed me off.
Peeta?
No, not Peeta. Gale. Him. And then Zayden was Peeta. I was like I'm reading the book and I'm like, oh my god, this is like if two of them if you mix both of them together. But then it was like the killings of J.K. Rowling. So, it was just like taking everybody.
And Hunger Games.
And, taking everyone out.
Yeah.
I forgot how many people died in Hunger Games. That's true. That was like the whole premise behind it. Like there was only one left in the end.
Yeah.
So speaking of that, is there anything in this book that you guys could have lived without? Anything you wouldn't have wanted?
Jack Barlow.
Dane.
As much as I hated Jack and Dane, we need Jack and Dane.
Yeah, I guess.
True. Good
no,
point.
I actually, like I said, this was one of those books that I could not put down for nothing in the world. Like just the plot, the characters, the premise, everything about it was just spectacular. Like, and like I said, even if it didn't have any sex scenes, I still would have enjoyed this book because it was that good.
Yep, I agree.
I also feel like there weren't any dull scenes. Like I never felt like at one point it was dragging or it was going too slow. Like I feel I was so engaged with every single part of this book.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Right off the bat too. It was like, she went to talk to her mom and then went right into conscription day.
Right.
Like there was no lag in between that.
All.
So yeah, this book definitely captures your attention right away.
Yep. Same. I loved everything.
So since we're talking about that, as far as like the story, did you guys think this was more plot or character driven?
I thought it was a wonderful combination of both.
I agree. Yeah, it wasn't one over the other.
Yep.
Is there strong character development?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I loved them.
Yeah.
Yes.
For all the characters, I think literally all of them.
Yep.
Like not even just the main ones. I even feel like Rhiannon and Liam.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, for us to actually have all those feels for Liam, it was because that character was developed so well. So it was like, even though he wasn't a main character, he was still an important character. And it was like losing a friend when he died.
And also that other guy that used to hang around with Rhiannon and Violet. I don't remember.
Oh my god,
Riddick,
Yes.
Yep.
Every time his name was said, I was thinking of Ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I called him Riddick.
I mean, but he also was like constantly joking too. So
like, exactly.
See, I called him Riddick.
That's what I said too, Riddick. But then my mind was thinking Ridiculous. But yeah, Riddick.
Yeah. I mean, everybody, even like we said, even Ariel, who we only knew a little bit, you felt her death. Like everybody, just even Jack grew. I don't know. It was just Dane. All of them had like in a way.
Even with Jack, like you hated him. Like he was a character. It was like you despised him. So even though like you didn't like him, he died. It was still like finally, fucking, he's gone. But it's because he was developed as a character for you to not like, and everything that he did, it was just like, oh, this bastard. The way the characters were written and described and how they were, their personalities definitely shine throughout the whole book.
Absolutely.
And it was great character development.
Yes, I could not agree more. I feel like we kind of just answered this with that, but did you guys think the characters were lovable?
Yes,
Yeah.
lovable
Yes.
and hateable.
Yes, yes. Both
Yep.
sides of the coin.
Absolutely. They definitely, you got, attached to these characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was no like in between feelings. You either really, really love a character or you really hate a character.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I could make a list of all the characters I hate and all the ones that I
Absolutely.
love.
Yeah.
Yep. Exactly.
100%.
Again, was there a diverse cast of characters?
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
This book had one of the most diverse casts I think I've ever read in a book.
Mhm.
And this was only book 1 too. So like
Mhm.
I feel like it's only probably going to expand from there because we don't know anything yet about the Griffin Riders. We only very briefly met them. And also it seems like they have a whole city already going on in Tyrrendor, which I'm assuming there's already people there with Brennan. So like I just
Exactly.
feel like there's so
Yeah.
many characters we don't know yet.
100%.
Were the flaws of the characters a main focus?
I want to say yes and no, kind of, because like with Violet, she wasn't so powerful, but it was also made known that she wasn't powerful, but it wasn't like a main focus. It was mentioned in a way that helped build her character into who she was. So I don't know. It wasn't like it was the main focus. It was, acknowledged in the book, but I don't think it was like mainly focused on that.
See, like I looked at Violet's character and I like didn't even see her with any flaws just because she was like so
Right.
smart, like
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
she never let any of her like chronic limitations
Mhm.
Stop
affect
her.
anything
Yeah.
that she did. Like even when she was about to go over the parapet, right? And she was like, "Oh my god, I'm gonna die." But then she was like, "You know what? No, I'm not gonna die today. I'm not gonna die today." And like anything that she went through, she was like, "Today's not gonna be the day that I die."
Mhm.
And
But
then
it
she,
wasn't her necessarily that was bringing up her flaws, quote unquote. It was more that asshole Dane. So
Well, it wasn't just Dane. It was literally everybody in
Yes.
that school that was like, "You're not going to do it. You're the weakest link."
right, but he was literally like, I don't know, like it was just something about the way that he spoke to her. Like she was just this fucking fragile dandelion. Like if the wind blew, she was gonna fucking blow too. But yeah,
Fragile Violet.
fragile Violet.
Mhm.
Maybe that was why that's her name. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, she did. I agree. A lot of the people in the school. I mean, I think even when she was originally go off the parapet, Jack was like, "Oh, like how are you gonna even get across there? You look
Mhm.
like it could just blow you right off." Which I
Yeah.
mean, that was a real possibility for her.
Right.
But luckily, Mira gave her those shoes to help her out, and then like her selflessness that she fucking gave Rhiannon one of her shoes.
Mhm.
She didn't even know her. She
Right.
met her 2 minutes prior to that.
Yeah.
I just
Yeah.
love her.
I
Yes.
love
She's
her.
Same.
such a good character. There was nothing
Mhm.
about all right, I don't want to say nothing because the only thing that irked me about her was how she was treating Liam when he was the bodyguard and it was like not even his choice. I was like, stop being so mean to him.
But we would have done the same thing. If I had
Yeah.
somebody who had to fucking babysit me all fucking day and I didn't want a babysitter, I would have been the same way. But then she ended up like being friends with him. Like she's like, "Are you my friend?" And I mean, we were all, nobody wants a babysitter at
I
all.
would take a hot
I mean,
babysitter.
To be fair, I feel like she talked like that to everybody, including her own
Yeah.
dragon. So I just
True.
think that was like
That was just her.
personality.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just why it really got me was like towards the end when he died and she was like having these thoughts and she was like, "Oh my god, I just, 30 minutes ago accused him of not being my friend." And she was like, "I was so mean to him when he was a bodyguard." And I'm like, "Oh my god, you're right, you were." But yeah, that was kind of why I was thinking that. Anyway, I don't think Zayden had any flaws.
Zayden was like perfect.
He was
Absolutely
perfect in my book.
I'm gonna be like our last female character from our last review. He was perfect. Everything was perfect. He looked perfect, acted perfect. He was just perfect.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe we don't know his flaws yet.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Could be.
Oh, and can we appreciate the fact that he took responsibility for all the other kids and he took the
yes.
lashings for them?
I know.
I know.
And then he became like their, I guess, protector to make sure that they were making it through the school. Like I love him.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all sipping so hard for Zayden.
So hard.
Mhm.
So hard.
It's gonna be so hard to dive into another book after this. Like I just finished Fourth Ring last night. I'm the weakest link out of this group, by the way. I have such a hangover. I was like, I'm not even gonna start this book until after we do the next book until after we do our review.
Yeah,
I know.
I haven't started the new book yet.
I tried.
I don't even know what the new book is.
It's tough to get into it. I'm not gonna lie.
Wait, you started it?
Yeah, I tried. I'm gonna have to start again though.
Oh fuck!
I'm just not in the head.
No, our headspace is not there yet.
No,
I think we need a week off.
Yeah.
Because this book was just it. I haven't had this kind of book hangover in such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's like just even thinking about starting a new book, I'm like, I'm not reading about Xaden.
Yeah,
I don't want to.
Yeah, I had half a mind to like reread it because I was like,
I'm definitely rereading it.
I'm gonna reread it at some point.
I definitely am rereading it.
I feel like there's like so much that happened foreshadowing in the beginning, which you just don't really know about.
Yeah, exactly. And now that we have read the book, like we can go back and be like, oh, got it.
I just want to explain that is why, this is how I justify in my head. This is why I read ahead towards the end, because I like to see what happens. Because then when I'm reading the book in the beginning, I'm kind of like, oh, that makes sense. Why, like what they're saying right now, it makes more sense because I've already read the end, so I know what they're talking about.
I think it's also your anxiety that you don't know whether the ending.
You need to know what's going on.
It could definitely be that too. Let's call it a mix.
We need to know what's going on. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't like read the whole end. But so like there was definitely stuff like the dad's letter, how he was saying like the fables are actually real, and it's like the way that they pass along information. But just like one time in history when somebody's like trying to write over history, they can get rid of those stories, which is how they become fables. Nobody recognizes them as real life. So like I know that the father foreshadowed that in his letter, and it didn't really make sense at the time where she read it. I did highlight it.
I was telling Nikki that this like felt like a metaphor for the government.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me ask you girls a question.
Okay.
Knowing that there are all these attacks on the wards, and knowing that there are not enough writers to contain everything, what do you think is the actual motive behind hiding, the wyvern and all of these things? Why are they trying so hard to hide it? Like, what is their end game?
Because I think that what I think is that if they were to be upfront with everybody about what's going on, right? Okay, let me back that up. All the people in the writer's quadrant, they say their mission is to save people, help people, right? So I feel like if they were given the facts of what's going on, actually everybody outside the ward is suffering because Venom are attacking them. What are all those writers going to want to do? They're going to want to go help them. And what I think the government wants to do, or whatever, whatever their ruling faction is, they don't want to expend their resources on a place that is not their own. So I think if it was told to everybody, they would have to do that because everybody would have, they have free will. They would want to go past the wards and help them. Violet only found out shortly and she wanted to go.
I feel like there's something sinister going on because why erase the history of the Venom to begin with?
It's true.
Like, why make that, that one book that Violet has that essentially is like practically illegal? Like, why? And that happened a long time ago. So what is it that they're actually planning? I feel like there's something going on there.
Yeah. And what is the reason then that the wards are failing? Is it actually the Griffin writers that are doing that, or is it somehow the Venom that are doing it?
I honestly think it's their government.
I agree.
Like Violet's mom and that.
Absolutely.
That they're the reason why the wards are failing?
Yeah.
Like they're doing it on purpose?
Yep.
What purpose would that serve?
Exactly. That's what I'm trying to figure out. But I feel like that's what's going on.
Okay.
I feel like there's more to it, and I have a feeling like in the
Book
second
two
book
is
we'll
gonna
learn more.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. We're gonna have to take a week off before this comes out in November so we can reread
Reread.
Fourth Wing,
Yeah.
have it fresh in our brains, and like
Absolutely.
jump into what is it? Iron
Flame.
Flame. Because it's definitely, there's like so much that happens. It's
There
gotta
is.
be like fresh in the brain. This is not one of those books that you can be like, oh, I kind of remember
I read it like 6 months ago and I can absolutely not.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot that's going on in the books
Yeah.
that I'll have to like refresh.
All right, so next week we're going to be reading The Coven, or I'm sorry, not reading, but reviewing The Coven by Harper L. Woods. Don't ask me what it's about, though. I have no clue. We haven't read it yet. I think it's a professor-student trope about a magic school, but don't quote me on that. We'll see. We'll tell you. We'll get back to you that on next week. So, buckle up, bookworms. We'll see you next week.
Bye.